Ken, you jerk. Mr. Follett. I wasn't going to do a bunch of videos for these for this book, and I still think I won't, but I got to talk about this first part. It's separated into 6 parts, as far as I can tell. This is my first Ken Follett book. Separated into 6 parts and a prologue. Holy smokes. This author has emotionally hijacked me in this first 250 odd pages of part 1. Now, I want to be able to talk about it at least a little bit, and maybe a little bit more spoilery at the end, but I will mention when. But I do want to talk a little bit about the different perspectives for people who haven't read it, and so that they can know what to expect when they get into this book. It's a historical historical fiction in the 1100s, so it's like a big old mess. There's a whole bunch of famine and disease and crappy stuff going on. All these cathedrals. I mean, it's not about the cathedrals, but it kind of is. But saying all these cathedrals isn't really what the story is about. Anyway, what you get when you go into this, and I think more and more I am more of a historical nonfiction or a historical fiction fan more than fantasy. Even though I like, fireballs and magic and stuff, I do tend to get more satisfaction from a good battle with sword and shield and axe and all that. There's just something kind of chunky about it that I tend to like more, but there is overlap between people who like fantasy and historical fiction. I mean, I think if it's a good story, it's a good story, and this is an unbelievable story. Now, even though I say there's no magic, the prologue kind of has some witchcrafty sort of vibe about a part of it. So I don't know if that will kind of start to flourish into something there. I haven't really had more word of it. The first part is separated into 4 chapters. And I do want to be able to kind of talk a tiny bit about, introducing these 4 POVs that you get. Because it's so great. If you want to have people that you are emotionally invested in and you are worried about what is maybe going to happen with these people that you love so much, wow, this series has grabbed me, and I am afraid of the next little bit. I'm scared for maybe something that's about to happen. Who knows? Anyway, the first POV that you get is Tom, and he is a master builder. Like, he's a craftsman. He can do a little bit of everything, but he really wants to work as, he's a mason, I think, as his first thing. But he's an expert on building, doing stuff with stone. And he wants to be a part of building a cathedral. I think ideally he would like to design a cathedral. But as we go on, he just is kind of obsessed with this. And he's dragging his family along, trying to get work on a cathedral. But he goes from place to place. Kind of when it introduces him, their history is he's gone from place to place. And he just can't get work with them because they either have masons or the town is just going over, it's hard times and they don't have enough money to repair their church or their cathedral. And the wife, I think understandably, would like Tom to just settle down and get some other job doing something else, but he has this big vision where he really wants to work on a cathedral. and it's just not going too well. And they have this son and a young daughter, and the mom is pregnant, and they have this pig who is kind of represents like everything they own. It's like the only actual asset they have other than Tom's tools. Winter's coming, they're getting hungry, and it's just like a nightmare for this group. And I don't know if I can go really further into that. Maybe I'll save I'll save a spot that's kind of spoilerish for the first part for people who don't want to know anything about it. But man, there are things that are happening with that POV that I'm really excited about. I like the way that Ken Follett writes his, kind of structures his story. So far in the first 3 chapters, it was very much, the first chapter was about Tom and his group, like his wife, his kids, but it was centered around Tom. And then the second is about another POV, and then another one. And they don't really intersect so much until we get to the end, where we start to see maybe some of the influence of, you kind of start to see where people are in relation to these other POVs, I guess I should say. And I think I like that more, spending a full chapter. Like when we were in Malazan, I liked the chapters that were just about one POV, and then another one going to a new one. I think it just helps me focus rather than juggling like 3 or 4 different sections or groups as we go. And I think I like that way of structuring things. Anyway, there's that POV. Second chapter, we get another one that is this guy named Philip, and he's a priest. And you get a great kind of backstory, sort of an origin story that I won't talk about. That's really interesting. I think he's basically well-intentioned for things. He also has his own ambitions, which are to kind of work his way up in, be a prior of a cathedral. So instead of building one, he would like to run a cathedral. And there's all sorts of reasons that you see why someone would want to work their way up. Some of it is for the prestige and the power. I think he is more that he wants to, like, he's a true believer, and he wants to be able to turn this. I don't know if I don't know what the words, the right terminology is, like the convent. He wants to just kind of everything under his umbrella. He wants to like enrich it and make it what it ought to be. Like the cathedral in his little neck of the woods is kind of it used to be not great, but he kind of built it up. And there's this other Kingsbridge Cathedral that is kind of falling apart. And if he could, he would love to be able to kind of have some influence to helping not only the cathedral be kind of restored to a better glory, but also have these priests who are kind of just, the leadership matters, I guess. And there's a lot going along, and it's more about kind of a political, lots going on within the church through his POV, which is super interesting as well. The third POV that you get, or maybe it's kind of a couple POVs in one, as there is this wedding between 2 families that was planned and is kind of going sour. And you can see the influence of these 2 families who kind of hate each other, I mean, to put it lightly, and you get to see kind of this clash between the families, I guess you could say. And there are people that you just love in this POV as well, but also people that you just loathe. So sometimes when you're reading a book, for me at least, or a movie, having a great villain or someone you just hate and you want to see them get what's coming to them is almost as powerful as of a motivator as having characters that you just cheer for and love. I know for me, often it's that way, where it's like the villain who really carries the, makes me turn the pages. And there's been a few people that I just can't stand. So it's just great. And I want to be able to talk about all these POVs. Maybe I will now. So if you've made it this far, I want to talk a little bit about what is so emotionally distressing right now in this chapter where I am. I'm almost done chapter 4. Or I'm actually like midway through chapter 4, maybe. Or maybe not even that. I'm in chapter 4. Okay? And a lot's going on. Now, in Tom's POV, he dang it, I don't want to talk about spoilers so much, but let me just talk about this little Jack guy. There is a person in Tom's POV who is it's not Jack's kid, but he's kind of tagged along with Tom's group, with this Jack boy. And he's a little bit slow. And he heard a conversation between Tom and one of these people who doesn't have work for him. I can't remember what the title would, like the prior. And it keeps going on over and over, and they can't get work. And the prior says, if something, like, if I don't want to really spoil it for people who say, but anyway, this Jack boy thinks he's going to take things. How do I say it without spoiling? He's going to take things into his own hands. But I am worried for what he is deciding to do. And I think if he gets caught, and if he gets punished, and you know that in this time you could be punished brutally for stealing or for just anything, and what he is going to do in his very simple way of being like, well, here's the answer if I just do this. And I stopped reading, and I thought I better come on to do this video, because I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for if Jack gets caught doing what he is trying to do. And it will be devastating, and I'm not quite ready. You guys should read this series, or at least this first book. It's so compelling. Ken Follett has such a great way of, like, he's so good with pacing. As things are starting to wind down a little bit, he just grabs you again and brings you right back into things. And so compelling. Such a fantastic writer. And what a story he has. It seems like it would just be a boring sort of tale. But just the, I don't think I've been so emotionally committed to everyone as in the same way as I was in a couple of these books in Malazan, where I was just engrossed with everything going on. This feels like that, where I'm just engrossed with the story. And it feels good to have just a fresh, new thing to go to, even though I'm going to get back to Malazan. And I definitely have a couple videos for you guys coming up that's I've been planning, and it's taken way more editing and planning, and it won't be off the cuff like this. But anyway, I really think you guys should pick this up if you are in a slump, want something maybe a little bit new. It doesn't have the pew pew fireballs, as far as I know. But man, it has some serious drama that I think you guys will like, and I'm pretty sure it's also a TV show. Maybe, I don't know. But I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.